What happens if your Bitcoin hardware wallet breaks? Imagine waking up tomorrow and your hardware wallet doesn't work. The screen is completely dead. You plug it in, nothing happens. You try again, still nothing. And suddenly you start thinking, did I just lose all my Bitcoin? If that thought scares you, don't worry, because there's something extremely important you need to understand about hardware wallets. Your Bitcoin isn't actually sitting inside the little device in your hand. The device is a tool. And understanding that difference can completely change the way you think about Bitcoin security. So let's imagine the worst case. Your hardware wallet breaks. What happens next? First, don't panic. A broken hardware wallet does not automatically mean your Bitcoin is gone. Your Bitcoin exists on the Bitcoin network. The hardware wallet is used to help you securely control access to it. That's a very important distinction. Think about it like a key. If the key breaks, the door doesn't disappear. You simply need another way to use the correct key. And that's where your recovery information becomes extremely important. Your seed phrase is what allows you to recover the wallet. So if your hardware wallet stops working, the device itself may be replaceable. But your recovery information is critical. This is why protecting your seed phrase is often more important than protecting the physical device. Let's make this practical. Imagine you bought a hardware wallet 6 months ago. You set it up, you created your wallet, you wrote down your recovery phrase, and you stored that phrase securely offline. 6 months later, your device falls off your desk. The screen breaks. The device won't turn on. What happens? You don't suddenly lose your Bitcoin. You replace the hardware wallet with a compatible device and use the proper recovery process to restore access to the wallet. Your Bitcoin hasn't moved. The blockchain hasn't forgotten your coins. The broken device didn't erase Bitcoin from the network. You simply lost the physical tool you were using to access your wallet. But now, let's change the story. The hardware wallet breaks, and you realize you never properly stored your seed phrase. You look through your phone. Nothing. Your computer. Nothing. Your cloud storage. Nothing. Now you have a much bigger problem, because the device may be replaceable. But without the necessary recovery information, recovering the wallet can become impossible. That's why you should never think, my hardware wallet is my backup. It isn't. The hardware wallet is one part of your security system. Your recovery setup is another. And confusing those two things is a major mistake. Now let's talk about another situation. What if someone steals your hardware wallet? Again, don't panic. A thief having the physical device does not necessarily mean they immediately have access to your Bitcoin. A properly configured hardware wallet is designed so that access requires the appropriate credentials. But this is where your security habits matter. You need to protect your PIN. You need to protect your recovery information. And you need to make sure nobody can obtain the information that gives them control of your wallet. Because the biggest danger isn't always the device itself. It's what happens when someone gets the information behind the device. And here's another scenario. What if you lose the hardware wallet? Maybe you leave it in a hotel. Maybe you lose your bag. Maybe you accidentally throw it away. The same principle applies. The physical device is replaceable. Your recovery system is what matters. But there's an important warning here. Never respond to a lost wallet by searching randomly online for someone claiming they can recover your Bitcoin. This is where scammers appear. You may see someone saying, "Send me your seed phrase and I'll recover your wallet." Don't do it. Someone asking for your seed phrase is asking for the information that can give them control of your wallet. Your seed phrase is not customer support information. It is not a password reset code. and it is never something you should give to a stranger. Now let's talk about something people often forget: testing. Imagine you have a seed phrase stored somewhere safe. That's good. But do you actually understand how recovery works? Do you know which wallet you created? Do you know how the recovery process works? Do you know what information you would need if the device disappeared tomorrow? You don't want to discover those answers during an emergency. That's why your security system should be something you understand before you need it. And remember, don't experiment with your real seed phrase in random apps or websites. Security testing should never become an excuse to expose your recovery information. The goal is to understand your process, not to create a new vulnerability. So let's go back to the original question. What happens if your hardware wallet breaks? The answer is actually pretty simple. The device can break. The device can be lost. The device can be stolen. The device can even become obsolete. But none of those events automatically mean your Bitcoin is gone. What matters is whether you have securely preserved the information needed to recover your wallet, and whether you understand how to use that recovery process safely. That's why you shouldn't build your security around one piece of hardware. Build it around a system. Protect the device. Protect the PIN. Protect the recovery information. Keep secure backups. Understand your recovery process. And most importantly, never give your recovery information to anyone. Because here's the mindset I want you to remember. Your hardware wallet isn't your Bitcoin. It's a tool that helps you control your Bitcoin. And if the tool breaks, you replace the tool. But if you lose the information that gives you control, that's a completely different problem. So don't spend all your energy worrying about whether your hardware wallet might break. Spend your energy building a recovery system that can survive it. Because in crypto, you are the bank. Subscribe for more.